I'm getting into dangerous territory by engaging with someone whose username is VorTube Animations. I'm the home slice of Send Hyperion. I'm joined today by the giant ugly bump on my face and by a beer. It's time for Let's Argue. Let's Argue is my series where I take to Twitter and engage in your hot takes, your crazy ideas, and your normal Halo opinions. I dissect them here and tell you whether or not I agree or disagree and why. And while I am joined by two very special co-hosts today, I have to give a shout out to the team at Elgato, who are the real people making today's video happen. The team at Elgato set me up with an amazing care package that came with the Elgato Facecam, a high quality HD webcam, the Elgato ring light, which is extremely customizable and high quality, and finally the Elgato Wave 3 microphone with a few accessories. I incorporate most of these into today's video, the video from earlier this month, and most videos going forward from now on, and I'd happily recommend Elgato to anyone looking to upgrade virtually any element of their content creation and or gaming setups. Thanks again to Elgato for lighting the spark beneath my fresh-baked Halo content. I'm a longtime user of Elgato products and was stoked to be able to receive this care package. Visit their website for a full list of their products and check them out today. If you want to participate in Let's Argue, all you have to do is follow me on Twitter at SendHyperion. Without further ado, let's get started. Jay Kraft says Sarah Palmer in the main campaign outside of Spartan Ops is misunderstood and underappreciated, and people who are offended by her "I thought you'd be taller" banter show their fragile masculinity. I agree. And without getting too deep into the concepts of fragile masculinity, but yes, Sarah Palmer's character I don't think is given the proper time of day. I'm not saying she is like, wow, the most well-written character in Halo. Basically, no Halo character is the most well-written anything ever. But I do agree, she, even to this day, gets a weird amount of hate for the, "oh, I thought you'd be taller" line, which was an extremely harmless piece of joke. And I agree, it does kind of reflect how easily offended gamers are. It's like a reoccurring problem I personally have, is why are gamers so upset about the littlest things? Sarah Palmer is a fairly generic military type character, is the commander of the Spartans, and I think she's voice acted and portrayed well enough to pull off what she's doing. In fact, I like her better than the new Spartan commander, whose last name I haven't figured out how to pronounce. We'll call her Angru. Anaru? I'm an American, so I'm not responsible for learning names that aren't... No, that's a joke. The new Spartan commander is too fluffy for me. She's... You're so good, Spartan. You're the best. You're yada yada, right? In fact, if you lose, there's one time where I lost in BTB, and she was like, "You're good enough, but not today." I don't need affirmations. I'm supposed to be a Spartan super soldier. The next step, if I fuck something up during a mission, thousands of people die, right? You need to be on my ass. And Sarah Palmer was definitely that character. She was more militaristic to me, and a much more well portrayed leader than this new person. So yeah, I agree, Sarah Palmer didn't get the time of day, and it's kind of tragic. We got a fairly angry comment from someone by the name of Winter here. It says, "I will never understand why people praise a game that is as badly designed as Halo 2 is." This is the second time we've talked about Halo 2 like this. "The level design is piss poor, the balancing is horrid, the flood are a nightmare, and not in the way they're supposed to be. It's gondola heaven, only thing good about it is the plot." I'm gonna have to disagree based on the opening statement. I will never understand why people praise a game as poorly designed or badly designed. Here's the thing, folks. I think gamers have become old and jaded, and have forgotten that a badly made game can still be a fun game. And this is something that's more conceptual than it is easy for me to objectively prove here with a beer in my hand. The end goal of most any game is to let you have fun or to make you feel something. And you don't have to have some groundbreaking, absolutely perfectly coded, no issues, no flaws game to do that. If you are looking to evoke an emotion out of your players, how you get there is how you get there. Halo 2 is like any other product, like any other game, any other piece of media. It has flaws. Absolutely will not refute that. That doesn't mean it's not applicable for praise. And there's a bunch of other games that even now receive praise for being great that still have issues. So I don't think we need to always equate perfection to enjoyability, if that makes sense. I've enjoyed some pretty poorly made games, so I disagree. I'm getting into dangerous territory by engaging with someone whose username is VorTube Animations. They say Cortana should be naked and Halo Infinite should have big Spartan booties and body types options. Contrary to what people might think I'm about to say here, I'm gonna disagree. The thing about Cortana's appearance and then the Spartan's appearance is that it should not be about sexualization. In fact, I have an entire video about how Halo kind of masterfully blended physical appeal and kind of fettered out the generic over-sexualization that females see in video games. If your request is to just see Cortana naked, we've kind of stepped over the bound there. If you're just wanting to be turned on by your Spartan character, that's kind of overstepping the bound there. So I can't really get on board with that. Again, Halo Infinite to me represents kind of like the opposite end of the spectrum if you want to fail this. Halo Infinite just kind of goes the route of giving the characters no type of appeal, which in my mindset is the wrong way to go because these characters are not confined to traditional physical progressions. They are meant to be peak humanity, they're meant to be attractive, and you can find a good balance between the two. Previous Halo games have done it already, so no more VorTube animations, please. Moth says, I love the music used in Infinite's multiplayer, but I would have preferred something more orchestral and less guitar-y. I agree. In fact, the more I play Halo Infinite, the more I wish the campaign menu music would just be all the menu music, and I wouldn't have to hear the that little track that starts playing when you queue into matchmaking is so drony and annoying, and I am sick of it. It might be the weakest menu track in the franchise to date. So yeah, it'd be cool if in the future they like let the campaign music bleed over into the multiplayer menu, because what we have now, I'm just not feeling it. I'm gonna imagine, and I could be wrong about this, but I think they're gonna do like every other modern game that has that the menu is your fire team type thing, where they'll probably change that background every season and they'll like add a new song per season. That's probably the intent. If not, if we're stuck with this forever, then God me. I want to just mute it. I'm just gonna mute it. We've got a surprise comments cameo from the Act Man himself. He says, Bloom isn't actually a bad mechanic. It's just been implemented poorly in Halo besides Infinite. Without it, the sidekick in AR would be way more powerful. I agree. Bloom is a boogeyman in the world of Halo, and even I have a video where I talk about its negative implications in Halo Reach's sandbox. Bloom is a natural check and balance to, first and foremost, precision weapons, but then pretty much it's the method by which you stop players from just having lasers in their pockets all the time. And Halo fans incorrectly remember some of the older Halo games as not having Bloom. Every Halo game to an extent has had a way of keeping you from lasering people. How it was executed changed. Games like Halo 2 and Halo 3 pretty well let you laser people when you compare them to games like Halo Reach, which were very deliberate about having spread and variability in your ranged combat. And like Ackman says here, in Halo Infinite, yeah, this is what's keeping the AR from like actually being broken, and it's what's keeping the sidekick from becoming the new meta. And it's fine tweaks to Bloom and Spread that allow weapons to move in and out of meta. It's why the Halo 5 Magnum is the go-to gun in that game, because one of its strongest points is that it's consistent. And when I made that video about Bloom, consistency was one of the things I talked about. It's something we expect as Halo players. We expect a weapon to perform almost the same way each time we fire it. And that was one of the advantages of the Halo 5 Magnum, is that when you shot, you knew if you had the reticule on him, you were making contact. There are right ways to do it and wrong ways to do it, and the Halo franchise has never been shy to move the slider around and see what works and what doesn't work. That doesn't mean it's all good. There's definitely been flaws and hiccups and mistakes, but it is a very natural way that the weapon sandbox is kind of kept in check, and fights are prevented from being sniper battles each time. So yeah, take some time to appreciate that Bloom keeps some level of balance in these games. That's going to do it for this episode of Let's Argue. If you enjoyed this series, be sure to like and subscribe. Leave your comments below. What do you think about Halo? What do you want me to agree or disagree with? Or what did you hear that had you fuming or feeling confirmation biased? Check out the rest of my content on the channel for more high detail analysis of the Halo franchise. And until next time, I'll catch y'all later.